Now this is my continuing coverage of Euclid Book 7. Okay, and this is part 3. And now we're going to talk about even times odd. Now how do you find an even times odd? Well, if you find all your even times even numbers, you can then find your even times odd numbers. Now, when we're talking the distance between 2 and 4, we're talking about a 2 unit here that is measured once. Okay? Because you cover between the 2 and the 4, and you're actually going 2 spaces over to get to the 4. Now to get from 4 to 8, you're going to use the 2 unit twice. 2, 2. Okay? Because 4 to 6 is 1 2 unit. 6 to 8 is the next 2 units. Same thing here, 8 to 16. If you want to get to 8 from 8 to 16, you have 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, and 14 to 16. So you're going to measure with this 2 unit 4 times. Okay? And it goes on and on and on, 16 to 32, 30, and you can do all this by yourself. However many times you have to use this unit to get from that number to that number, that's how that works. Now, any even number that falls between 4 and 8, which happens to be 6 in this case, is an even times odd. Any even number that falls between the 8 and the 16, which is 12 and 14, 12 and 14 is an even times odd. Any even number that falls between 16 and 32 is an even times odd. Okay? 18 is an even times odd. 20 is an even times odd. 22 is an even times odd. 24 is an even times odd, and so on and so forth. And I can go on and on and on. But once you find all your even times even numbers, you can then find all your even times odd numbers, because they're not part of the even times even, they're part of the even times odd. It's that simple. Now what is an odd number? It's the odd times odd number, okay? You're taking an odd number and you're multiplying an odd number of times. Let me illustrate here, okay? Let's say you have the number 3 and the number 5. You multiply 3 times 5 and that gives you 15. Alright, so we are measuring on the number line the 3, and we're going to use the 3 unit to go 5 times to the number 15. How does that work? Well, okay. Now actually what we can do is let's just change this to 3, 3, and 9. Okay. So you're using this as your unit, and this as the number of times you're going to use that unit to reach here. Okay? So what you'll do is you'll put a 3 unit here, and a 3 unit here, 3 unit. Okay? You'll cover up between the 3 and the 6, and the 6 and the 9, and then that's where you'll get your odd times odd. And like I said, you can do this with a piece of ticker tape if you want, but that's what Euclid was trying to define for you. Okay, so you're using an odd unit to measure an odd number of times. That's what Euclid was trying to say. So basically, you can go down to saying, if you're doing even times even, you're saying you're using an even unit to measure an even number of times. When you're talking even times odd, you're saying you're using an even unit to measure an odd number of times. Or you're using an odd unit to measure an odd number of times. That's what Euclid was saying. And like I said, we can use ticker tape and we can scale back and forth, and we can show you through scaling exactly how that works. And using the scaling method is a much faster visual way to find what you're looking for. And it's a little tricky, but it can be done. So hopefully you're understanding what we're trying to say here. You're taking a unit, an even unit, you're measuring an even number of times, an odd number of times, or you're having an odd unit and you're measuring an odd number of times. That's what Euclid was trying to say in those three definitions. Okay? And hopefully that broadens your thoughts on mathematics. And like I said, we can use a scaling method to use that as a visual aid to show you how that actually works. Now remember, it does get kind of tricky because of the fact that if you have 6 times 2, well, the 6 and the 2 and the 12, they're all even numbers, but when you scale them, turns out to be an even times odd. So basically what happens is you can take that 12, divide it by 2, and it gets you 6, and if you divide it by 2, if it gets you an odd number, there you go. Let me show you that real quick. We can take the 12, okay. If we divide the 12 by the 2, we get 6. If we divide 6 by 2, we end up getting 3. Now, that's in stark contrast to 8. Because we take the 8 divided by 2, we get 4. And if we divide this again by 2, we get 2. This is an even times even. This is an even times odd. Alright? And that's what we were saying here. Hopefully you got that. If you have any questions, leave them down here in the comments below. I will continue on this little series in a future video, so stay tuned.